Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Angry Dave podcast. I am Dave. I'm with my next guest. I'll call her, I don't know, Stephanie Scrapbook or Cross Stitch. I don't. She's artsy. I don't know. So she gets the scrapbook. That's your nickname. Steph, just introduce yourself.
I'm Stephanie, apparently Susie fucking Homemaker. That nickname.
Steph, we know each other. We did Joey's podcast just a bit ago, so everybody knows we've known each other since we were born. Really,
Yeah.
I don't know that I remember not knowing you.
No, I don't remember a time when I didn't know you.
Our dads were best friends, and our moms became, I guess, best friends as well.
They still are.
Yeah, and we grew up together. Really, I mean, we did a lot of things together as families, and spent a lot of time over each other's houses. So I don't think there's anybody really other than maybe my sister and, well, not really my sister because my sister hasn't really known me the second part of my life, but maybe John, my Uncle John, and you are probably the people that have known me the longest and most consistent, I would think. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So any angry Dave stories you want to share?
Yeah,
Ju- ju-
you used to love coming in Teresa's room while we were whatever we were doing and just grab me, throw me over your shoulder, and then just randomly drop me in another room in the house and walk away. And I'm like, really? Why? And then not say anything, just walk away. And it happened all the time. I'm like, okay, this is just a thing, I guess. But my favorite story about you,
Yeah.
and I can't tell it without laughing because I always picture your face,
Yeah.
was when you were at our house on Colorado Street.
I knew this was going.
Yep. You were in your football gear, and God, we had this bulletin board by the basement steps.
Yeah.
Full of business cards and push pins. And I don't know why you were standing over the basement steps, but you were. And you were talking and you you put your arm on the bulletin board and it just went down. And then you went down with it and you went down the basement steps head first on your back.
Yeah.
But the look on your face, you were like, "Ooh," and it was just slow motion, but it was fast.
Yeah, I tried to lean against the wall, but the bulletin board wasn't the wall.
No, and there was nothing to grab onto.
Yeah.
And then you were at the bottom of the steps, and we all were just standing at the top. Your mom, your dad, my mom, everybody just looking down at you. And you're like, "It's all right, you motherfuckers. Don't anybody check and see if I'm okay."
No, everybody was laughing, Stephanie. Stephanie, I fell down an entire basement steps. It wasn't like the basement steps were covered or cushioned.
They weren't.
I don't. Nobody even stopped to see if I was okay.
Nope.
Everybody in the house was laughing.
We were laughing so hard, and you were just lying. Thank God you had the pads on, because you probably would have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
But you were just laying down there, and you weren't saying "ow," you weren't saying "I hurt this." You were just like, "It's all right, motherfuckers. Just keep laughing at me. Don't ask if I'm okay."
How old was I? 14, 15?
Probably, but
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
funny.
you were always angry, even as a kid. You were always arguing with your mother about something and stomping off somewhere.
All right. Well, enough about me. So you were born what year? How?
1979.
You have a younger sister.
My sister's 4 years younger.
Yeah, but you had a lot of people living with you guys growing up, right?
We always had people living with us. For a long time, I think my grandmother lived with us, my uncle lived with us, my aunt lived with us for the longest. So it was always like 2 sisters.
Yeah.
But then our friends were always there. So Teresa was always there. Dreama was always, so there was always 5. My dad was surrounded by girls. He even said, even the fucking cat's a girl. I can't get away from them.
Right.
So yeah, there was always a house full of people. Like, people will call our house on a Tuesday and they're like, "Are you having a party?" And we're like, "No, why?" They're like, "It's so loud." I'm like, "That's just how it is here."
Yeah, and it wasn't a big house, right?
No.
Side street house in South Philly, probably what, 900 square feet, something like that.
Yeah, right off Snyder Avenue, so you could hear the bus run all night.
Yeah. Talk to me about the early time growing up there. Like, what's your first memory?
One of my youngest memories, and I don't have a lot of memories of us doing things, all 4 of us as a family, because my dad worked all the time.
Yeah.
So when we would do things, I remember us going to the airport. We would go down the airport and watch the planes land. Yeah, that was one of the things I remember from being a kid. That, and every now and then, like around the holidays, we would go around and look at the Christmas lights. But he worked 2, 3 jobs, so
Yeah,
for us to always do something, it didn't occur too often.
so he was a police officer full time, and then always had some odd job he was doing.
Always.
Yeah,
Mechanic. Deliver saw blades for a while.
yeah.
I would leave school and go do that with him.
So tell me about how was it growing up early on, say middle school, up to middle school.
So, yeah, we moved, I guess it was in the mid-'80s, mid to late '80s to 17th and Snyder, and that's pretty much where we grew up,
Yeah,
and then we moved a couple more times after that, and
but that was later,
that was
right?
later, yeah.
Yeah. Growing up over at 17th and Snyder, what was it like? What would you say?
It was nice. The neighborhood was a little bit more diverse,
Yeah,
and I feel like South Philly at that time, like, it wasn't as diverse as it is now.
right.
So, it was kinda nice because we had a little bit of everything on our street,
Yeah,
and I always was intrigued by that because you got to learn about different people instead of just
yeah,
primarily white Catholic people, you
right.
know?
Yeah,
But we did go to Catholic school for the rest of our
grade school.
middle school education,
Yeah,
grade school education, yeah,
yeah. And then you went to Southern later, right?
I did.
Yeah. So talk to me about what was Stephanie like as a middle schooler?
I was very quiet. I
Yeah,
was very timid. High school ruined me.
yeah,
Yeah, I got in trouble. The teacher smacked me one time because I couldn't see the board, and I was afraid to tell them I needed glasses, apparently,
yeah.
and she was, like, dragged me, grabbed my arm, smacked me, dragged me to the board, and I wanted to die right there because I was like, "The teacher literally smacked me right now. She's not around anymore."
Yeah, fuck her.
But that
How old were you then?
I was probably, like, 6th grade,
Yeah,
5th or 6th grade.
I do remember you as a very quiet, sweet kid.
Yeah, and as a quiet kid, it's like, "What did I do wrong?"
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, right.
But, yeah, I was always kinda shy, didn't really voice my opinion too much.
Anything like memorable things that stand out for you about that middle school era for you?
No, nothing. I always felt like I would go to, like, a party and I'd be the quiet kid and all these other kids would have fun, and
Yeah,
I'm like, "Why can't I do that?" And then I'd go home and I'd regret it later, and I think that's when I started to kinda come out of my shell a little bit.
and that started really in high school.
Mhm.
Talk about that. You go to South Philadelphia High. What was that experience like?
It was interesting. I wanted to go to Gamp. There was a waiting list.
Yeah,
I didn't wanna go to Grady because I didn't wanna go to an all-girls school because I wasn't friends with the girls, I was friends with the boys.
right,
With the exception of Teresa,
right.
we hung out with the boys, and if Teresa and I weren't together, people are like, "Where's she at?" And I'm like, "She has a home, we're not always together, like, we're not sewn together at the shoulder."
And for anybody that doesn't know, Teresa is my younger sister. She's 5.5 years younger, and she is how much younger than you?
2 years.
2 years younger than you. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So good.
so I didn't wanna go to Goretti, so Southern was my last option, and my mom wasn't thrilled about it, but it was
Yeah,
in walking distance, and I didn't get the best education. I learned that after, like, hindsight.
yeah.
But, I mean, it was interesting. I was friends with everybody. Everybody knew who I was. I became a cheerleader, like, freshman year and then got a job where I had to yell orders back to the kitchen, and that's kinda when I started having a bigger mouth.
To get out of your shell.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Any trouble in high school you get?
I got in a fight once. She started it. I told her to shut up, and she hit me, and that was it. And I'm not a fighter, like, we looked like we were dancing, apparently. I was just pissed because she pulled my ponytail out, and it took me, like, an hour to get it I had thick, thick hair in high school.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Do you know how long that took me to get up?" So we got in trouble, I got suspended for a day. She
Oh,
got suspended for a week, and then she apologized to me, and I was like, "Yeah, bitch, that's right." I really wasn't, though.
uh, any how about with my sister? You get any trouble with my sister?
Yeah, a little bit. We got caught hooking. It was my birthday. It was February. My uncle's ex-wife, now ex-wife, Karen, caught
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
And I was like, "Shit, we're not gonna be able to go to the dance on Friday because we got in trouble."
yeah.
Yeah, we used to we used to steal your tokens,
Uh-huh,
and
yeah.
she would steal them and I would sell them, and that's how we made money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I used to have so many tokens that it didn't even
Yeah,
matter
you
to
had a
me.
jar of them, like, in your
Yeah.
room, and she would take them, and I would sell them. And I'm like, "Are we really" now looking back, I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah,
That's
that's
funny.
how we were too young, we couldn't get jobs, we needed to make money somehow.
I had so many, it didn't even matter. I sold as many as I wanted to. But fuck you guys. I didn't know that. Sons of bitches.
We would go to the dance on Fridays at the Renaissance. Do you remember the
I do
Renaissance?
remember Renaissance, yeah.
And we would make money there too.
Why? How'd you do
We
that?
would go up to people and be like, "Hey, can I borrow $1? I need to buy soda. Can I borrow $1?" By the end of the night, we have like 25 bucks each.
Oh my God.
Listen, you find a way.
You find a way.
We weren't doing anything illegal
Yeah, no, no,
or
no,
or
you're panhandling. That is a summary
or
offense.
you know,
I don't wanna get
or
legal on you.
perverse.
No, not perverse, right? Yeah, yeah. At least you weren't giving blowjobs. I'm happy about that.
No, no, we weren't doing that. We were probably using it to buy like stickers or some stupid shit. I don't know. Who knows? Friendship bracelets.
Any crazy stories in high school? Anything like that? How was home?
Home was good. I mean, home was always pretty solid.
Yeah,
Everybody has their home shit that happens, but
right.
we never worried as kids. We always went on vacations. My mom always made sure we had, new clothes and, we were cared for. Both my parents are loving.
Yeah,
My dad's crazy. Everybody knows my dad's crazy. I think I inherited some of it.
yeah.
I
Can you
just use that as an excuse.
can you give me one crazy Gino story? Anything?
We used to say our friends would come over
Yeah,
and my dad would be on midnight to 8.
yeah,
So he would come home and he'd want to go to sleep.
yeah.
And, my house was always loud. And my dad, you don't wake daddy up. He's going to be pissed, whatever. He would come downstairs in his underwear and yell at us. And I'm like, really, dad? Like, and, those are the embarrassing days when you're like
Yeah,
13, 14 and your friends are over and your dad's walking down in his tighty whities with his belly hanging over. And he's like, the fuck, why are you so loud? And he has to get up and go to work.
yeah.
Come to find out years later, he would pull over people for stupid shit like stuffed animals in their back window, and he'd give them a ticket for every one. And we're like, "You're that asshole cop that everybody hates." But it was probably our fault because we'd
Because
wake
he's
him
just so
up and
mad.
he'd be tired.
He's just so fucking
He
mad.
was so mad.
Uh, how
But he
about?
didn't take shit from anybody.
No, he didn't take shit from everybody. Not a big guy, but
Mm-mm.
you always knew you knew he was present.
Yep.
He's a big personality, I would say. How about memories about my mom and dad? Talk about my dad a little bit. Your memories.
I remember as a kid that I did not like your dad for a long time.
Yeah,
We would go, my mom say, "Oh, we're going to Dave and Debbie's." And I'm like, oh, because your dad was always mean. When I was a kid, I always saw him as the mean dad
yeah,
because he was always yelling at us for something.
yeah,
But then, as I got older, your parents are my second parents. I was always Mama Deb and Papa Dave.
yeah. Well, yeah, he was just loud, right? Just
Yeah.
loud and aggressive. Yeah, that never changed.
No,
How about Deb? How about little Deb?
I love your mom. I still talk to your mom all the time.
Yeah,
We go on vacation. She comes away for the weekend. It's fun. I still call her Mama Deb every now and then when I text her. And yeah, so I still get to see her a lot, which is nice.
yeah,
That relationship's still there, especially because I don't lost touch with Teresa when she moved, and
right,
that a part of that broke my heart big time because it was my best friend. You
right.
know,
Yeah. So you go through high school. You do okay. How'd you do there?
I was not the best in high school. I think I struggled because it was you either had business academy,
Yeah,
science academy, or ROTC, and I wasn't interested in any of it. They had
right,
no art program at the time.
right.
Southern, they just cut shit left and right, but the baseball team got all the money. Sorry, I know you're baseball nut, but
No,
the
no, but
baseball team got all the money and we didn't get anything. Like when we had to get new uniforms, we had to have a fundraiser, but the baseball team got their stuff paid for.
yeah. Your high school experience, a good experience. You,
The beginning of high school was good.
yeah,
My grades weren't they were okay. I wasn't. I don't know. I'm not a good test taker. I'm not a. If it's boring, I don't want to read it. If I read it, I'm not going to remember it.
yeah,
So kind of that kind of stuff. I had a lot of friends. They all turned their back on me senior year because somebody spread a rumor that I said something about somebody that I did not say.
yeah.
Nobody asked me about it, so I didn't get invited to go to the prom with my friends. I didn't. Senior year was miserable.
That's awful.
Everybody kind of made amends afterwards,
Right.
but senior year was pretty miserable. I got hit in a blow pop with a blow pop in my head one year. So they redid our calf, and I was coming out of the calf, and there was all these kids behind me, and somebody was throwing stuff.
Yeah,
And my mom was nervous the whole time I was in Southern,
yeah,
and something flew by my face, and I was like, you almost hit me with that. And I'm not one to start a fight or open my mouth, but it just came out. That whole brain to mouth filter thing doesn't work a lot for me.
yeah.
And next thing I know, I went down. Something hit me in the back of the head. I went down. It was a blow pop. They threw a blow pop at me.
To knock you down with a blow pop.
They did, and they hurt. Let me tell you. I walked home and I was got outside and I said to the kid, "You didn't have to throw it at me. Like, I would have eaten it." And he just looked at me like, "Whatever."
Yeah.
So I walked home and I walk up the street and my mom's on the step with the neighbor. I started crying and she's like, "Oh my God, what's the matter?" And I got hit in the head with a blow pop and she busted out laughing in my face. And I'm like, "Thanks for the sympathy, Mom."
Yeah. Yeah, it was kinda like when I fell down the steps and almost died. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, uh-huh.
Mhm. Moving on.
You meet Joey in what? And you're in 11th grade?
I'm summer before senior year.
Summer before
Yeah,
senior year.
summer
So
'96.
you guys are going out by the time you're in your senior year,
Yeah.
and you graduate Southern, and what do you do next?
I barely graduated Southern. One of the teachers knew my dad and changed my grade, and I
Really?
got to graduate. Oh, yeah.
What happened? What happened that just you were just miserable
I
there?
just I wasn't into the classes. It was all I was picked the business law charter because that was the most interesting out of the 3 choices, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was like accounting, and I'm like, "I don't even know how to do any of this." It was
yeah,
like reading stereo instructions. Like, it just did not click, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So I went to CCP because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I wanna do. Went to CCP, stayed there for a year, and then somebody told me about the Art Institute. That was a mistake
why was that a mistake?
because it was so fast-paced.
Yeah,
I do think I was, like, misdiagnosed as a kid, like, they diagnosed me with, reading comprehension. I think I definitely am on the ADD spectrum somewhere.
yeah,
So, they're 4 8-week quarters, and they're so fast-paced, and technology and I just don't get along.
yeah,
And so I struggled a little bit there. Plus, at the time, I mean, you're going back to the early 90s, like everybody has Photoshop at their fingertips now. Back then, those programs are really expensive.
right.
So trying to get, and then everything had to be on a Mac.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I don't have a Mac. I don't have $800 for a program. I don't have $600 for the other program. So that was a little rough.
yeah.
And then they kicked me out.
You only went there 1 year or 1 semester? What
I
was it?
went there for probably a couple semesters.
Okay.
And then my grades weren't good because I was struggling a lot.
Yeah,
The teachers were fantastic. The financial aid office, they just wanted money. They didn't
yeah.
care about anything else.
But so then after that,
I
so
went
CCP is Community College of Philadelphia.
mhm,
There a year, you went a couple semesters at Art Institute. What you do after that?
went back to CCP.
And then
I
did
was
you?
on the 5-year program
That's all
at
right.
CCP. I was working full time
Yeah,
and going to school, which I would never. I already told my kids, I'm like, go to school.
right,
Don't work. I don't want you to work while you're in school. I want you to focus on school, do what you're going to do, and get out.
right,
Not be in school for 7 years and come out with a 2-year degree.
right.
So I went there, finished, and then I got accepted to Moore College of Art and Tyler. And I went to Tyler. This is like my whole story, my whole life. Like I lived in 47 different houses. I went to 15 different schools.
Yeah, yeah,
So we went to Tyler, and then that I ended up going part time, like, 1 class a week. And that was a struggle because that took forever. But and
yeah.
I didn't finish.
Okay. So were you living at home the whole time?
I was like a nomad. My parents moved to Arizona at one point.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah, and then I was living with my grandmother,
yeah.
and my cousin's girlfriend was stealing my shit.
Oh, Jesus.
She stole my fucking underwear. Like, that's gross.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
I mean, they were clean, but that's gross. So, I ended up moving all my shit to Joey's mom and dad's in Jersey,
Okay.
and then I would just go back and forth for school, and then when my parents moved back,
Yep.
I still kinda just
You were back and forth
back and forth. Yeah,
between Joey and your mom and
and
parents.
home.
How long were your parents out in Arizona? Like a
About a
year.
year.
Yeah. It was just short lived, right? I remember
Yeah,
that.
my mom was homesick. She missed us,
Yeah.
and now
Uh
I never see them.
so I want to take a step back though. Tell me about what you told me about what you were like in middle school. You're shy. Did that changed in high school?
It did, and I think it changed because I got accepted to the cheerleading squad, and, you gotta yell. You
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
like, whisper. But then I got a job, like, my first real job. I worked jobs as a kid, like, I was a soda girl at bingo, that was, like, my first unofficial job,
Yeah.
and the old ladies would pay me a quarter to get them coffee.
Yeah.
I DJ'd with my dad
Yeah.
when I was a kid, and, So I got a job at Boston Market, and I had to yell back to the kitchen, "I need a whole chicken."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then that was it. I just was like, "Oh, this is what this I have a voice,"
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's been downhill since there.
Your early 20s, you're sort of struggling through college a little bit. And when did that end? When did that end for you? Like 24, 25, something like that?
After I
26?
had Joey, believe it or not,
Okay.
I was 30. I
So,
was 30 when I had him, and I was supposed to be going I was trying to go for art education,
yeah,
which I think would have been hard to do anyway because it's like one art teacher per school per district, and
right.
that's a tough job to get.
Yeah,
So I did that, and then I went to class one night, and the teacher I was late. Ben Franklin was backed up, so I got there late. Teacher was like, "Oh, this is an observing class. You have to set up with a teacher in a school to go observe their classroom." I'm like, "You're telling us this now? I have a job."
right.
That was it. I left. I never went back. I was like, "I'm done. I can't do this."
Any regrets about that at all?
Oh yeah. I beat myself up terribly for it for years. I should have, I would have, I could have.
Yeah,
And then I just got to the point where I'm like, that's the past. There's nothing to do about it. Move on.
move on. Yeah, new challenges. You had first son when you were what, 30?
I was 30,
And your second son when you were 35?
36.
36. Did marriage change anything for you? Just marriage by itself?
No, but it felt weird to say to people
Yeah,
that I had a husband. I'm like, that sounds weird. I always felt like everything was surreal. Like I was
yeah,
outside of myself watching it happen.
yeah. You had little Joey when you're 30 years old. Did that change anything?
It did. So what happened was I was 20, I guess I was 25, 26. I went in for an ultrasound. I was getting really bad pains in my stomach. They were like, "Oh, we think it's your gallbladder." That's genetic. Both my parents have had their gallbladders removed. And they were like, "Oh, we can't see your gallbladder looks fine, but we can't see your left kidney. We're going to send you for a CAT scan." Go for a CAT scan, and they were like, "You don't have a left kidney," which like
Yeah,
blew my mind.
right.
And when they say your whole life flashes before your eyes, that really happens. You don't have to be dead for it
Yeah,
to happen. It really happens. Because my whole childhood, because my mom was like, "Don't do this and don't do that. You're gonna get hurt." And so all that stuff flashed, and I'm like, "This is crazy. Like, how do you go your whole life and you just found out you have one kidney?"
right.
So they told me, "Don't wait too long to have kids." Okay, all right. So let's get on that. We have a kid. My personality, I've always been kind of goofy, silly, jovial. Never in a million years I think I'd get postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Hit me like a ton of bricks. So yeah, that changed a lot of things after.
Talk to me about that struggle.
I didn't like my husband. I told him I didn't like him.
Yeah,
That was hard.
yeah,
I was ready to go back to work, and 3 weeks before I had a meltdown, and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "If I tell you what's going on in my head, you're gonna think I'm nuts.
yeah,
You're gonna put me in a place, and then you're gonna think I'm gonna hurt my kid." And he was like, "Just tell me." So I was afraid because, I mean, mental health is talked about more now, I feel
right.
like, than it was then. I mean, it's only 14 years ago, but we do nice things for each other, things, just everyday things, like put the coffee on. I went to put the coffee on. I was like, fuck him. I'm
Yeah,
putting the coffee on for him. I should put the coffee on for him. I
yeah.
also think I was a little mad because he was losing weight at the time and I still felt kind of fat from being pregnant. But it was rough. I didn't know I was going through postpartum either. I think I
Yeah,
was in denial.
yeah. How did that resolve? Like, how did you get better? How did the relationship get better?
I cried a lot. The relationship early on, I think it was a lot of, "What do you have to be sad about?" And people would say this to me all the time, and I'm like, "I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. Like,
Right.
stop asking me stupid questions."
Yeah.
"But you have this, and you have that, and you have a
Right.
great," and I'm like, "I don't fucking know. If I knew, I wouldn't be sad." It's like,
Right.
you
Right. I
know,
don't want to be sad. Right.
right, I'm not doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
I started talking about it. The doctors, they put me on medication a couple times, and
Did you go to therapy?
I didn't. I should have.
Yeah. You did go to the doctor though. You went to the doctor.
Yeah,
You
and
you
they
go,
ask you questions, and you start crying. They're like, "Okay, you need drugs."
yeah. But you talked it out and you worked it out with Joey.
Yeah, and it was hard to tell him that I didn't like him.
Yeah.
I would imagine that was hard to hear,
Yeah.
but God, he's a saint, man. He put up with my shit.
Yeah. Well, Laura and I went through the exact same thing. I mean, after Jacob was born, I mean, exact same thing. Time, and we just had to sort of refocus and start thinking about each other again, and then she needed to feel better about herself. I mean,
That's a big part of it because
yeah,
nobody tells you the ugly stuff.
Right.
They all tell, "Oh, the baby's so cute,"
Perfect.
and nobody checks in with the mom
Yeah.
most of the time or the
Right.
dad. I mean, never it's a when they says it changes your life, it's so true. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get sleep, so you're miserable all the time, and you're like, "Do I sleep or do I eat?"
Yeah. And I think a lot of women have guilt because they're told that they're supposed to feel wonderful about this situation that this human being just came out of your
Mm-hmm.
body. You have all these changes that are going on, not just emotionally and hormonally, but your life is changing
Yeah.
dramatically, and you're the one that's stuck with this person more so than men always.
Yeah, you're on somebody else's clock, and that was hard because I'm
Yeah.
like, "All right, I have 2 hours to go do this, this, and this before he needs to eat." And that was rough because you're used to just getting in the car and going, and now you can't do that. You're on somebody else's watch.
It's hard, and don't let it them fool you because they don't remember.
They don't remember, and it is hard because my kids didn't sleep. I don't know about your kids.
Yeah.
My kids didn't sleep for the first year, either kid.
Yeah.
So when people are like, "Oh, my kid sleeps through the night," I'm like, "Get the fuck away from me. I'm gonna throat punch you."
Right. Right. But it did eventually you guys it did get better.
We did, yeah, and it just work, if you want it to work, you have to make it work. It doesn't just you don't just sprinkle fairy dust and everything's better. You
Right.
you gotta put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have Joey and then Luke is born 5 years later.
6, Joey was gonna be an only child.
So tell me about that.
So, Joey was he wasn't I mean, he wasn't a hard baby, but he had, like, reflux and, not didn't sleep, so not the easiest, but
Right.
that's just babies in general. But around 3 years old, like, he was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was weird. Like,
Yeah.
we people were like, "Oh, he's got oppositional defiance. He's got this. He's got that."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Where did my sweet little boy go?"
Right.
He would start scratching his face, and I'm like, "Are you possessed? Like, do I need a priest? Do I need a therapist? What do I do with you?"
Yeah.
So we took him to see his pediatrician. They gave him these like questions we had to answer, and then we took him to some other therapists, and they gave us, he just was a hyperactive kid who didn't know how to channel
Energy.
his frustration, and
Yeah.
you learn a lot. Like when you become a parent, you're not just teaching them; they're teaching you.
Right.
You learn how to be patient real quick.
And then when did that settle down?
He was around 5, and that's when we were like, all right, we don't want him to be an only child.
Yeah. So you convince yourself that it will be all okay.
Yeah. He got over the hurdle. We were like, "Is he normal now? Are we good?"
And then you guys have Luke. And how's that been?
He's a funny kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born on my uncle's birthday. My uncle passed the year before Luke was born, and my uncle and I were really close.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was due on Friday the 13th, and he didn't come along till Monday the 16th. And little Joey, he was okay with them. They're always jealous because they're the only kid. You've
Yeah.
got him had him to himself for 6 years.
Right.
They fight. Oh my god, I didn't think they would fight as much as they do. I'm like, "You're 6 years apart. Why are you fighting so much?"
Right.
But
They battle a little bit.
all the time. I'm like, "You go to your corner, you go to your corner."
Tell me about the life last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. How's it been?
With the exception of COVID, I mean,
Yeah.
I kinda this is gonna sound terrible.
Yeah.
I liked being home. I
Yeah.
liked that we were all home because I tried to find the silver linings.
Right.
Yes, it was a bad time. A lot of people didn't make it through it, but for us, it was I said, "When in our life are we ever gonna get this time where we have to stay home together and
Yeah.
you're forced to find things to do?" You find creative ways to keep the kids occupied. You get to observe how they learn because they're doing school from home.
Yeah.
So I tried to look at it from that perspective, and I took it as a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it was nice to watch those things. Like, you don't get to go to school and watch your kid learn and listen to the teacher. I mean, yeah, it was different because they were home and not in the school setting, but
Right.
so that was
Good.
that was that. But then I had I had quit my job in October of 19 to finish school because I went back to school to do medical coding,
Okay.
and I worked for preschool for 15 years.
Right.
So that was a little bit weird. And then COVID hit in March. So I went back to work in August and I went back part time. and that was strange because, we still had to wear masks and Lysol everything.
Right.
But, we came out of it better, I think,
Yeah.
because we just, learned more about each other and be more patient and, you
Ch-
know,
Had a chance to reconnect,
yeah.
connect. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. No, I mean, COVID wasn't bad for me. Or my family, just like your family, you you saved money
Yep,
and got a better
that's what we
house,
did.
and we saved money and got a second house. Yeah, so I mean, I do feel bad that it worked out. I mean, although I had a revelation that I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I mean, did that happen to you as well? I mean, or did it happen before COVID with the preschool stuff?
It was burnout,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Oh, it's such a fun job. You get to do this all day." But really, how would you feel if you worked with 10 toddlers every day, 5 days a week for 10 hours a day?
No, I would walk
That's
in.
a lot.
I would walk in twice a month to drop Nicholas off or Jacob off. Laura mostly did it, and I spent 5 minutes in those places, and I was at wit's end. So I can't imagine anybody doing it for any period of time. But
And you get the parents who are side-eyeing you because they're like, "Well, why is that kid crying? Go to work."
yeah,
"I
yeah.
know why he's crying. You don't need to know. He's not your kid. Don't worry about it. Go to work. We got it."
Do you miss it at all?
There's things I miss. I don't miss all of it.
Yeah,
I do miss the kids were fun.
yeah,
We did a lot of really fun and silly things, and I'm a silly person, so it was like, beginning of March is Dr. Seuss week, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I miss Dr. Seuss week. Can I wear this to work? Will I get away with it?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. What don't you miss about it? Like, what's the thing that you hated the most?
I don't miss the bullshit where I would have to tell teachers who have been there for years how to do their jobs. I'm like, they should know that they need to help me. Like, there's 10 toddlers. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you to do your job.
How are the
Um,
parents?
we had a lot of really good parents. I still keep in touch with a lot of them.
So parents at the the preschool level, not that bad.
Some of them are a little crazy.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't like to nap. I'm like, he's 2. You mean he doesn't like to nap?
Right.
He doesn't like that. Like, no, that's
Right.
not a thing.
No, you don't want him to nap, so he
Right.
goes right to sleep. Like, yeah.
Exactly. That's the stuff that I'm like,
So what
go away.
what are you doing now for work?
I work, at a pediatrician's office, actually, and I
Yeah.
do billing. It's
Yeah.
very boring,
Yeah, that's all right.
but I needed boring after doing that for 15 years. I could pee and not have to ask for somebody to come watch my classroom. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you like it? Hate it? It's okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Do you get interact with anybody, people?
I do. It's bad because when I see the kids, I wanna play with them,
Yeah.
and that's sometimes they're crying, sometimes it sounds like they're sawing their feet off in the, like, shot room, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, this kid's strong." Like, you could hear thumping against the wall.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I get to interact with people, which is nice. Not too many, I kinda keep to myself.
Yeah. So what's the plan in the next 5 or 10 years? You have one?
Yeah, I would like, ideally, to get my cert, which I'm struggling with because it's a test, and I'm not a very good test taker. When I had to take it the first time,
Yeah.
they're in another country, the proctor,
Yeah.
and the one lady was really mean, and you don't get to see their faces, you just hear their voice.
Right.
The first lady was very nice and patient. The second lady was really mean, and she talked like this, so you couldn't really hear what she was saying,
Yeah.
and you have to do a checklist because they don't want you to cheat. I'm like, "How do you cheat on a test like this? Like, you have to use a book, so
Right.
how do you cheat?"
Right.
So they ask you a list of questions, "Do you agree to this? Do you not have this?" And you have to say, "Okay."
Right.
I don't know what she was asking me. I heard, "Okay, okay." Okay. I said to Joey, "I'm pretty sure I bought a pony and some land in another country that I don't know about because I don't know what I just agreed to."
And then so what is it with do you get nervous with taking tests? Is that what
Yeah.
yeah,
I always did bad on the first test until I could see how it was given, and then I would do well on the following,
tests. I
but I
get
tanked the first one all the time.
really and
And
so
they're timed, which I have anxiety. I'm like,
yeah,
"Really?"
so it's not that you don't know the information, but you're sort of freezing up. Is it?
Mhm. I panic.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to work on that.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
I have to remind myself of that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. I mean, it's performance anxiety. It's the same thing that athletes have all the time. And you prepare for it. You prepare for it until it becomes second nature, right? And becomes a play. It becomes play, and then it's fun. You got to make it fun. Yeah,
That's a good way to look at it because
you,
I didn't prepare for it the first time. I just
yeah,
took it because it was free,
right.
and I was at the deadline, and I was like, "At least I'll see how they give it." And now
Yeah,
they changed it,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like,
So no, you got to prepare. You got to be prepared. You got to be prepared, and then you just got to. It's fun. It has to be. You just take the scariness out of it. What happens if you fail it? You're
"Nothing.
in the
You
same
lose money."
right. You're in the same exact situation as you were
I would
before.
like to take it just because I know that I can do it,
Yeah,
just to say I did it, like to prove it to myself, not to
yeah,
anybody else.
yeah. Just
Um,
stop putting pressure on yourself.
yeah, and oh man, I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Yeah,
Um, that and I would like to do something artistic
yeah.
that doesn't on my own, like my
Right.
own little
Thing.
gig
Yeah,
where I don't have anybody looking over my shoulder with deadlines and you have to do this and you have to do it this way. And I just want to do my thing my way.
yeah. Scrapbooking.
Not
No, I'm
scrapbooking.
fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. I'm sorry. uh, how about like things with the kids? How are they right now? How's it going?
They're so busy. Joey's getting ready to graduate 8th grade and go to ninth. So, he's not a big kid.
Yeah,
So I'm nervous, but he's got a big personality for a short kid.
we'll be fine.
So I'm like, dude, do no harm but take no shit either. Like,
Yeah, you were short. I was short.
yeah,
We made it.
I told him, I said, talk to Dave. He's
Yeah,
he's short, pop short. I said, and they don't take shit from anybody. So don't
yeah,
be afraid to stand your ground.
yeah.
You might get hit. Of course you might get hit, but
We'll be okay.
you'll be all right.
But I always worry about my kids not being tough enough, and it's a false worry. It really is. Because if they're safe at home, they'll be fine.
That's how I feel. And he's going to have a thick skin when he's older because of his size now.
Yeah,
Because people say things to him, and he comes home and he's got a look on his face sometimes, and I'm like,
yeah,
tell me what happened. And we do our best to talk to him through
yeah,
everything
yeah,
because we're like, I don't want you to be afraid to be able to tell me things,
yeah,
even the bad stuff.
yeah.
'Cause you're not going to learn. We're not going to be able to help you if you don't tell us.
If he's really valued at home, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And here's my advice to every kid that people try to pick on, especially with words. I because I used to deal with it all the time. Short, I was chubby,
Hmm.
I was short, I was chubby. I was one of the youngest kids in the neighborhood. And the thing that I learned at about 12 or 13 years old is if you say things that are actually true about people and you find out the things like their dad's a coke addict and you tell them that and that he died, if you tell a kid that's making fun of your fat dad, and if you tell him, yeah, well, at least my dad's alive and he didn't die of a fucking coke
They
overdose,
shut up real quick.
they never want to fuck with you again.
And that's what I said to him. I'm like, they're just words. Let them
Yeah,
roll off. Just let it go. He's a straight A student. He's a
yeah,
good kid.
good.
I said, you're a good person. That's all that matters.
It is all
Let the other shit go. Don't hold on to it. It's not worth it. I should take my own advice.
yeah. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. That's always the thing to frustrate me most about my kids is the things that frustrated most about me. Like my kids not being afraid to take chances. I was always afraid to take chances. Always. I know it didn't seem like that probably to you. I seem like a big personality, but I was always scared
I
shitless.
was surprised to learn that about you.
Yeah, I was scared shit. Like I always wanted to be in the plays and all that stuff, and I thought I would do good, but I was always afraid to be told no.
Hmm.
I was afraid to be say to fail, so I wouldn't try. That was my dad did what my dad did. I was my dad's child.
I'm like that in my art a lot. And I did in art school.
Yeah,
I would be afraid I'd be so afraid that I'd mess up that I wouldn't get started. And the teacher's like, just start.
yeah,
And then I'd finish and he'd be like, "See, look what you made.
yeah.
Here, you get the
Beautiful.
you get the golden paintbrush award today because it
Right.
was so good." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Thanks."
I listened to some video on Instagram today or the other day, and it was about martial arts, and the guy brought up a white belt and a black belt. The white belt is the first belt you get for walking through the door, and the black belt is when you accomplish being proficient at it. Right. What is the hardest thing to get? His instructor said it's the white belt. It's walking through the door. Walking through the door is the hardest thing to do, and it becomes easier
Hmm.
every time you walk through the door. And it's true about life. It's really just taking that first step and being vulnerable enough to try.
I agree with that because for a long time, even with your sister,
Yeah.
I would want to do things
Yeah.
and wait for me, and I would wait and I'd miss out, and I would wait because I didn't want to do it by myself.
Right.
And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm just going to do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And now I do so many things by myself that I'm just like, you know,
Yeah. Fuck it.
yeah, if I would have waited for everybody, I would never do anything.
Yeah. So, all right. So tell me a little bit. What was it like raising you? You think?
I think it was pretty easy. I mean, I was kind of a bratty kid though. Like I used to throw temper tantrums and I would rub my feet together so hard on the floor. I don't know why I did that because I just hurt myself. It was a weird thing. But I mean, I think I was pretty easy. I came home when I was told to come home. My sister was not the easy one.
No.
She would come in, say to my mom, "I'm going back out. I'll be back at 11." By the time my mom got to the door, she was gone.
I do have one story about you and Teresa disappearing. You remember that story? You
Oh,
remember?
yeah, I do. Because your dad came and grabbed her and put it through her in the
Remember my dad?
van.
My dad was very big then. You
Yeah.
remember that? Like he was like he had gotten really big and really fat. He was always a big guy, but he was probably 350 pounds by then. But you guys disappeared. I was maybe 18, 19 years old. I think I was
Mhm.
away at college, but I was home for the weekend or something like that. But and then we were looking all over
We
for you.
walked up the street, right?
You walked up
Yep,
the
I
street.
remember that.
I remember she started fucking
Uh-huh,
mouthing
and
off.
he grabbed her and right in the car. I was
Like
like, "Oh shit, she's gonna get her
and
ass kicked."
fucking Stephanie just fucking vanished like she
Yeah,
was a
and but
magician.
but that's just it. We weren't like bad
Uh,
kid. We didn't get in the I mean,
well, she did later, but
we
yeah,
did stupid shit, and that's that's when I said to her, we were hanging out with a group of friends that she made friends with, and
yeah,
I was like, "These are the people you want to be around?" And she did, and I said, "Listen, I don't want to be around this." And I said,
yeah,
"I'm going home." And that was it. That was the last time we hung out.
yeah. That's unfortunate.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about some advice you might give people. All right.
Oh Lord.
First of all, what advice would you give the 18-year-old version of you?
18-year-old me. I was what? High school, graduate high school.
Yeah, you just
Probably
graduated high school.
probably try harder and but I mean, I never was pushed. Like my parents always were like, "Do." We were cut from the same cloth in that aspect. Our parents always just said, "Do better than I did," and that was
Right,
good enough.
right.
And I think that was a little bit detrimental for me because I never was there was never any body behind me saying, "Okay, you're doing it, but did you finish your homework? Did you do this project? Did you?" So I think I would like to maybe tell myself complete like finish what you started because
Yeah.
I still do that. I still don't finish anything.
Just the expectations, maybe having some expectations. I know Joey talked about being like almost a slave to expectations,
Mhm.
and you're sort of like on the
We're so opposite.
yeah. No,
Drives him crazy
yeah,
sometimes.
well,
Oh, a lot of
and
times.
that's probably why it works though,
Yeah.
right? Right? Because you can't be, too
There's gotta be a balance.
yeah. How about for new parents, what advice would you give them?
I would say you have to take time for yourselves. I felt like it was always I felt like it was frowned upon for moms to just get pretty, dress nice, go out, do things for yourself, take time for yourself. And now I feel like it's a little bit more accepted.
Yeah,
But I think our mom's generations, it wasn't like that. It was like you're home, you're barefoot, you're cleaning the house, you're doing this, you're responsible for all these things. Now I just feel like as a new mom, get somebody to watch the kids, go on a date,
yeah,
go do something, anything.
yeah,
Just get away from the kid and then don't talk about the kid. Talk
yeah,
about something else other than the kid.
yeah. You're each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like things the people you are before you had the kid, because you can be both. You can be who you were and who you are at the same time. And I think that's a hard thing sometimes for those two ideas to marry, you know?
yeah. And I think you have to be. I
Yeah.
mean, I think to be healthy, you have to have a little bit of your own thing. You have to keep something for yourself,
Because you lose yourself.
right? Yeah, you have to be parent, you have to be wife, husband, and then you have to be the individual that you always were, the individual that that other person wanted to marry. That's where it gets lost. Everybody changes, but you have to give each other room to change and room to be an individual. You just do.
Talk to people too. Like talk about other people's experiences, learn from because deep down everybody's going through the same shit and you
Right.
just don't really know it,
Yeah,
you know?
just don't bullshit it though.
No, no.
Right? Don't it's
Don't
not
glamorize it. Like
yeah, the Facebook
yeah,
version of your
be
life.
honest. Oh,
Yeah.
please.
How about new wives? Is that, I guess, similar, right?
Kind of the same thing, yeah, because you're going to get to a point in your marriage where there's going to be stupid shit that gets on your nerves. Like, we break each other's balls all the time. And we just had this conversation the other day because he's like, put the lids in the drain this way so that the water drips. Cause, he's very analytical.
Yeah,
The water drips and then they'll dry. And I'm like, I just throw the shit in there and then it dries when it dries, like whatever.
yeah,
So I'm kind of like a bull in a china shop and he's a little bit more detail oriented
yeah,
in that way.
yeah. He's Joey
Um,
numbers. Yeah,
yeah, so you gotta compromise. You gotta
yeah,
what things are you gonna let bother you and what things are you gonna let go? Because if you're gonna let everything bother you, it's not gonna work.
yeah. How about bosses? Any advice for bosses?
Yeah, I feel like I have a hard time being myself sometimes at work because I am a goofball.
Yeah,
Like when I was working with kids, it was a little easier, but when you're working in around doctors all the time, I mean, yes, there's kids, but they're a little bit more straight laced, and that's a little I struggle with that sometimes.
yeah.
I can't go like my old job, I would go in the bathroom, come out, and I'd have chocolate in my mouth, and I'm like, "Ugh, I came out the wrong end." And they would laugh and be like, "You're disgusting." I don't think I could do that at my job now. I don't know
Yeah.
how that would go over.
I don't know. So, I've been in the professional world for 21, 22 years now, and I don't see any value in the need to be serious. You need to be serious about your work. You need to have self-respect and you need to get the job done when it needs to get done. So from that perspective, you need to be serious.
Mhm.
But all the other times, who fucking cares? Have a good time. Make it a little bit less monotonous. I don't believe in it. You could be goofy, and have a good time and still get your job done.
And especially I'm like, there's kids, like that's I thrive on that,
Yeah,
especially with little kids who are nervous or getting shots. Like, you want to make them feel comfortable and better. And I don't know what they do in the rooms. I'm not in there. I don't really interact with them that way. Like if I'm passing by the hallway and I see them or
right.
somebody's crying, I'll get down and say, it's okay. You don't have to cry or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, and plus I've been here less than a year, so I try and hold the crazy back.
yeah, a little bit. I hear that.
Um, I usually save it for people I'm comfortable around, I guess.
Yeah. What do you think 18-year-old you would think about the 40-plus-year-old version of you?
I think that person would be kind of surprised at I got I got everything I wanted in life, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I wanted to get married, I wanted a house, I wanted kids.
yeah,
That's it. That's all I wanted out of life, and I think I would be proud of myself, which I don't say too often, but I would be proud of myself that I achieved everything that I wanted.
but talk to me about you not saying you're proud of yourself or even like verbalizing it. Why?
Ugh. I tend to be hard on myself. I
Yeah,
don't know where it came from. I don't know why. Even Joey will tell you, he's like, "You're the only one putting pressure on you. Stop."
right. Yeah,
And I think I get a lot of anxiety over that self-induced.
yeah,
Um, I'm working on it.
yeah. Good,
I'm working on it.
good. So we're all a work in progress. Good. I'm glad you're working on it because you should be proud of yourself. What's the best advice you ever got?
Don't let anyone live rent free in your head.
Yeah,
And I think about that a lot because for a long time as a kid, I swear to God, switch flipped. I could speak, I promise.
yeah,
Because as a kid, I was just like nothing bothered me. I didn't let anything bother me. Now, as I got older, I'm like the dumbest shit would bother me.
yeah.
Where people still do stupid shit that pisses me off, but
Right.
I'm starting to not let those little things and try and put myself in other people's shoes and just be like, all right, why are they doing this? There might be a reason,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, just not letting those people in your head.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah.
all right, that's their problem. That's not your problem.
How about the worst advice?
Oh, when they told us Joey and I, you see each other too much, it's never gonna work. 27 years later. Like, fuck you, it worked. How many divorces have you had? Oh yeah, that's right.
Wait, you see each other too much? Is that?
Oh yeah. When we were dating, you see each other way too much. This isn't gonna work.
Yeah,
We didn't did we stop? No.
yeah, that's funny. We're gonna talk about relationships. What's it like being your husband?
Oh, God bless him. He's very patient, I will say, with me because I am like my father in ways that I come up with some of these cockamamie ideas and they're pipe dreams, and they don't always, I don't always bring them to life.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what if we got a Christmas tree farm? Can we get a farm? I want a Christmas tree farm. And he's like, we're not getting a fucking Christmas tree farm. We're not doing. I'm like, why? We don't have to do anything. We plant them. We just let them grow. We don't have to do any of the work for like 20 years.
Yeah.
He puts up with me though. Like I don't know if anybody else would be able to handle my brand of crazy and all my neurotic things that I do.
What do you think he would say about you? What would he say?
Oh, he just says dragons ahead. That's it. He's like he takes a moment
Yeah.
so he doesn't say anything that he'll regret, and he's like dragons ahead, and I just walk away because I know he's biting his tongue.
How about being your child?
They think I'm nuts. They love it though, which I really like that they kind of embrace it because Luke came home last week and said, "Mom, somebody called me weird." I said, "So what? You're weird. Be weird. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Own it."
Right.
Um, I try sometimes to embarrass Joey while he's waiting for the bus. I'll go out and be like, "We're staying," and like, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "Bye, Mom. Have a good day at work." They don't care. I've gone outside in a dinosaur costume and waved to the neighbors walking their dogs, and the kids are just. I think they're just used to it at this point.
How about being your boss?
I'm a good employee.
Yeah.
I go to work on time. I'm late for everything except work.
Oh, good.
I'm at work on time. So yeah, I think I don't call out. I try my best not to call out unless I'm puking or got the shits. I don't call out. I go to work.
How's it being your parent?
Now,
Yeah. Now.
I think it's kind of different now because my mom and I are more friends
Yeah.
than mom dad, mom daughter.
Yeah.
So we do things like we'll go shopping together occasionally, or if we go away, she'll go on vacation like for the weekend or something.
Yeah.
We get along. My dad and I text during the week
Good.
pretty on the regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Do
know
you,
they can depend on me.
they know you're. Yeah. They know you're pretty stable.
Yeah. So I don't think they worry too
Yeah.
much about me. My mom even said, she's like, I don't have to worry about you.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandmother used to say that about my aunt, and I think it upset her a lot. If she listens, I know that it upset her. She always paid attention to the others in the family, including my father, who needed lots of help. But
Hmm.
but you know, felt safe with what my aunt was doing. I'm sure your parents feel the same way.
Yeah. I think my mom worries a lot about my sister
Yeah.
and not as much. I mean, part of you, they're your parents. You're like, but I want you to kind of be concerned, but
Right.
you don't want them to worry about you in that way. So,
Right.
because my mom even said, because when we moved and I was like, are people going to look at us like, oh, you guys think you're like, you know, better than everybody? Because I think a lot of people they get that impression from me. They have my whole life. Their lives like, oh, Stephanie thinks she's better than everybody. But I'm like, I'm really not. Like, if you knew me, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So when we moved, I was a little bit worried that like, are people going to think like I'm like braggy or boasty? That's not me. And
Yeah.
she's like, Steph, you worked for this. Nobody handed you anything. So
Right.
don't feel that way. And for her to say that to me meant a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome. It is. And we've had this conversation offline, but fuck it. I don't. Who cares?
I'm at that point now where I'm like, if you feel that way again, that's
People.
your problem. That is not I am tired of living with other people's guilt
Yeah.
and worrying about if I'm going to make somebody else feel bad because
Yeah.
fucking people don't care if they make me feel bad. So I'm like, you know what?
Yeah. I have strong opinions, and I always had since the day I was born. But that's always one of the first things that people that we grew up with, or
Mhm.
that part of my life, will always say, "Oh, Mister Lawyer." I don't care anymore. It's a badge of honor to me
Yeah.
at this point. I am still who I am. You are still who you are. It's the same. The same values that have always
Yeah.
existed still exist, and you have a little bit more because you work for having a little bit more, and you can't be ashamed of it.
Right. That's it. Like, okay, you can't look down your nose at me. You're doing your thing, doing this, traveling, whatever floats it for you. So,
Right.
don't look down your nose at me because we decided to buy a nice house and we live in Jersey. And people are like, "Oh, you live in Jersey."
Yeah. What's it like being your friend?
I am pretty loyal to a fault, I think.
You
Um,
know, Joey said the same thing.
did he?
Yeah,
Oh, he is.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I
and you are too. Go ahead.
I am. I mean, it's good, but it's also kind of bad too because I am the kind of person I don't like to give up on people easily. Um, I think I sometimes set my expectations a little too high. I think everybody's going to have the same heart and intentions as I do, and they're not.
Yeah.
And I have to learn to accept that everybody's different and everybody doesn't think like me.
Do you think you take too much responsibility sometimes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. Me too.
I feel like I'm the planner. I'm the one who's like, let's do this, let's do that. And then nobody else wants to do it. And I'm like, is it me? Do they not want to do anything with me? And then I'm working on that too, not
Yeah.
taking everything so personal.
Yeah. I hear you. It's hard not to though
Hmm.
when you're putting the effort out. But
Yeah. And that's just it. It's like when it starts to feel one sided, you're like,
yeah.
you question it.
Yeah. My advice to you on that is what I'm trying to do is I'm to try to salvage those relationships. I'm going to address it, and I'm going to say, this is this is what I've been trying to
Hmm.
do. You keep avoiding me, or you're not responding. I want to be your friend, but if this continues to happen, what do you want me?
Right.
What do you want me to do?
That's what my therapist told me to do.
Really,
Yeah.
really?
She's like, what would happen if you confronted them? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a confrontational
Yeah, but
person.
it's not in a confrontational
Yeah.
way, right?
So I've said it to a friend before, and I'm like, I don't like that you don't answer my texts.
I want to be, yeah, and
Yeah.
I just couch it in the sense that I want to be in your life, but I can't keep reaching
Right.
out and being stonewalled.
And I try and give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like,
Yeah,
I am not
yeah,
the world doesn't revolve around me.
right.
I'm not anybody special that you have to answer.
That's true. But that's
But
part.
I
Yeah,
would like the respect of you responding and saying, hey,
that's part of my maybe rant, right? I
falls in the same category.
Yeah, I deserve a yes or no.
Hmm.
But and if I don't deserve a yes or no, then that's the way it's going to end up. Is that we're not going to be
Right.
yes or no. We're not going to be a part of each other's life, and that's I'm not going to blame you for it, but it's just going to be what it is.
Right. You go your way, I'll go mine. And no response is a response. And that's a big one with me.
Yeah,
Like, just answer. Just yes or no. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you say no.
right.
Just tell me. I just need to know an answer.
Do you have a person that was most impactful in your life? Do you feel
Not that I can think of. I'm sure there were people along the way
helped?
that helped. I remember there was a teacher in high school that I didn't like because
Yeah,
she was very very bossy, very demand. Like she had a presence, you know.
yeah,
And I was late every morning for her class. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. But then when I had her class again, I had a different class with her later on. I really learned to respect her a lot because she stood her ground. She was a tough lady. She really was. She wouldn't let you pass
yeah.
just because you had to do the work.
Right.
And I will remember her for that. Like it wasn't anything for me in particular, but I just
Just the accountability
yeah,
aspect of it.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now I get into the fun stuff. Tell me about a drunk or high story.
Oh boy. I've never been high, believe it or not.
Never once.
Never once. Drunk? Yeah. God. Oh, probably my 40th. Well, that might be a pee story.
Okay.
Drunk, we went into the Northeast one night. A friend of ours, his girlfriend lives up there, so the Irish Northeast girls, they can drink.
Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker. I'm a little short Italian girl who can't hold her liquor. I've had my erasers for the first time.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah. They will erase your mind. Yes.
Uh-huh. I can fuck you up too. I think I was like 100 pounds soaking wet at the time, and I did maybe two or three of those.
Uh huh.
And came home that night. It was cold out, and our friend Mark was drunk. I was drunk. Joey was not drunk. He was driving,
Yeah.
so he had to put up with both of us.
Uh huh.
Which the two of us together, drunk as were a mess. So I get out of the car, and Mark gets out of the car because Joey won't let him drive home, and Joey says, "Where did she go?" And he's like, "She's there." I was on the driveway, just laying on the cold concrete
Because it felt
because
good. Yeah.
I felt so good. And he's like, "Get up!" And this was at his mom and dad's house.
Uh huh.
So we
How old were you?
how old? Probably early 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
So we get in. Now that night I had on a red shirt, like Coca-Cola red
Yeah.
shirt that my aunt brought back from her trip to Europe. Don't
Yeah.
know why that's relevant, probably not.
Yeah. No matter.
So the next morning, I wake up on the floor naked with red armpits. And I'm like, why am I naked? Joey was in bed. I don't know why I was naked. I had no jewelry on.
Yeah.
I think we were engaged at that point because I remember he took my ring off. And I had a blanket, and I'm like, but why are my armpits red? That's all I remembered. I don't remember how I got on the floor. I don't remember how I got up the steps. So yeah, mind erasers really do. You don't remember shit. I don't remember why I was naked. I think he said I did that, but I couldn't tell you.
You had, why were your armpits red?
From the shirt, the dye. That's what happens when you buy European clothes and you don't wash them. I literally sat there and I was like, why? Huh? And he was just like, oh God. But yeah, that was one night I'll never forget.
How about a pee, puke, or fart story?
Pee puke. I did that at the same time. My 40th. So, partying in your 20s is not the same as partying in your 40s, especially for a woman who's had 2 vaginal deliveries.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not a big drinker, but they were giving me drinks all night and I didn't eat a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what I drank, couldn't tell you. I think they were giving me shots too. And I remember coming home and the kids were in bed. My sister was at my house watching the kids, and I hugged my nephew and I said, "Oh, hi, Luke." And she's like, "That's Ben. That's not Luke." I got upstairs. Everybody went home. And I said, "I think I'm going to be sick." So I went and puked my guts up. And then I pissed myself at the same time. And Joey's like, "What the fuck? You just peed all over the floor. Get in the shower." And he took everything off, threw me in the shower. And we had a shower stall, so it was easier. He kind of just pushed me right in. And I was like, "Oh my God, I think I'm going to throw up again." So I got out of the shower and puked and pissed all over the floor again. And he was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he threw me back in the shower again.
Did he clean it up for
He
you?
did. He did clean it
So
up.
fucking
Yeah.
sweet. Jesus Christ, he's
Yeah.
the nicest
He
dude
could have
ever.
made me clean it, but he didn't. And I probably wouldn't have did a good job.
I think I would
But
have left it
yeah.
there. I think I would have left it there.
And then I had the fart story. I was teaching and we would get all the kids down for a nap and there would be a couple teachers in the room getting them ready.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with on the floor with my knees up,
Yeah.
watching a video on my phone of people falling on ice because I'm sadistic and I think that's hilarious. And I laughed at this person falling and I farted and it went and it sounded like a horn. It didn't sound like a fart. And I just started laughing because I couldn't hide it. I mean, I could have blamed it on the kid sleeping next to me, but
Yeah.
and the other teachers were like, "What was that?" And I was like, "I farted." And everybody started laughing because it was funny. Like it
Yeah.
just happened. What are you going to do? It happens.
You ever shit yourself?
Nobody shit in box.
You have shit in the box.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you shit. You box this box shitting thing you do.
You've been camping with us.
Yeah.
And, the outhouse is not a fun place to go to the bathroom because it's disgusting. And there's daddy long legs everywhere. And I always had this fear they were going to climb up my butthole. And we would go camping and I'd suffer all weekend every time. Because as soon as we'd get there, I would be like, "You got to be kidding me. I have to go." I would try and go before we left and it never worked. And we got there and I was like, "I'm not going to make it the whole weekend." Because it was the first day.
Yeah.
And I went up to the bathroom. My mom drove me up to the bathhouse and I saw the daddy long legs. I was like, forget it. So they came back from the camp store with groceries and they had a box and a light bulb like literally went off over my head. And I was like, "Give me that box in a trash bag." And I went in my mom's tent and I shit in the box. And then she went in and she was like, "Jesus Christ, it stinks in here." And they opened all the windows and you can't really air out a tent that well in the summer.
No, you cannot.
And who all shit in the box after me? Every one of them went and used the box. So I was like, "Don't make fun of me." But they're like,
Didn't you guys get like a fake commode thing?
they did. I was like, I don't want to use that. That's weird. Everybody's going to know what I'm doing. Give me the box. Nobody had a clue. I was just like, "Give me the box. Give me a trash bag." And I just
Oh,
and that was it.
you box shitting motherfucker.
Yep. Box shitter.
Have you ever caught anybody having sex?
Yeah, I caught my parents when I was a kid. Thank God I don't remember it. But they liked it. My mom and dad are not, and I think this is why I don't get embarrassed easy either. Like I did when I was younger, but now I just own it.
Yeah.
They like to try and get a rise out of people. Like they burnt the quiche for Easter brunch one year and then told us why. And I'm like, I don't want to know what you were doing that the quiche got burnt.
Right.
But yeah, I caught them when I was little. I don't really remember the visuals, and I'm glad. But yeah, I walked in. I was like, oh, okay, shut the door, left.
Uh, Joey says you guys never got caught having sex. Is that true?
I think people knew what we were doing because we would go up in my room, disappear, and then we'd come down. But I do think we were inadvertently caught. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's the
Um, so we used to drive around at night 'cause, everybody's always at my house,
yeah,
and we were looking for somewhere to go, and we found this dark corner over by Pep Boys on 24th Street,
yeah,
and we had sex in the truck
yeah.
in the back, and then we went back a couple nights later, and there was a spotlight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in that spot. I'm like, "Really? How did they know this is our spot?" Like, so yeah, but we were never actually caught.
All right, 20 questions. What makes you angry?
Everything. People, mainly people. They're too people-y. They're too fucking stupid. Like, real world things that make me angry are probably, like, bullying people who think they can manipulate other people and take advantage of people. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I think it's very cowardly.
yeah.
But yeah, there's so many things, so many things.
So many little
You don't have
things.
enough time for all the things. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of little stupid shit.
I feel like I might have rubbed off on you, and I apologize for that.
That's all right. I'm the short angry chick. You're short angry Dave. It's okay.
How about what makes you happy?
Two in the pink, one in the stink. No, my kids make me very happy. My family. I try and find it happy in little things. Like that's where Laura and I get along really
Yeah,
well. Like I love nature. I like I'm always been a daydreamer, kind of
yeah,
in that way. Um, Stuff like that. Like seeing them when they get along
yeah,
makes me very happy.
yeah. What makes you most proud?
Lately, I can say that I'm proud of myself.
Good.
I'm very proud of my kids. They do great in school, which I feel like every parent's going to be proud of their kids for something, right?
Right.
But for myself, like I said, I'm really good at not finishing things,
Yeah,
or I'll start something. But I finally had a come to Jesus moment where I felt like I was drowning, couldn't get my head above water,
yeah,
and I finally took the advice Joey's been saying for years. You should probably go talk to somebody.
yeah.
So I finally went, got therapy,
Good,
and I go to the gym 3 days a week.
good.
I changed my eating habits. Try and do things I like more, read, art, trying to get back to my roots a little bit. And I'm
Yeah,
proud of myself for sticking with it. It's been 7 months,
good,
and I normally would just give up by now. But, I don't know. Something changed.
good, good,
So
good. I'd say I'm proud of you, but that's not important.
mm,
It's not.
it's not.
Yeah.
Has to be me.
One thing that you would change about yourself or about your life.
I like my life. I'm very happy with my life. The thing I would change is me getting out of my own head,
Yeah.
because that's where I struggle a lot right now. Yeah, I would like to not do that anymore. Live there. I'm working on it.
How about one thing you would change about the world?
I mean, the usual stuff, People, I'd like nobody to be hungry and everybody to have a house to live in, but I would like for companies to be held more accountable for their waste.
Yeah.
Because our way of life is not sustainable, and I went down this rabbit hole where I was watching people dumpster dive, and it sounds so stupid, but it made me mad because I'm like, why are they throwing all these things away when
Right.
they could donate there's a company, a women's underwear company. They just cut their stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, donate it to a shelter. Why are you throwing it's going to end up in a landfill.
Right.
Why can't you donate it? Or,
Yeah.
there's places who throw away all their Valentine's Day leftover stuff. Donate it to a church. The kids will use it. They don't care that it's Valentine. Like, why is that stuff not? I know it seems trivial, but I mean, look at it in the big picture. Like,
No, it's not.
I,
Right.
I think they need to be held more accountable for what. I don't like to be micromanaged, and I would hate to use that term, but some kind of accountability for what's getting thrown away and wasted.
How about any tattoos or scars that tell a story? That's your question.
I know I came up with it, and I don't have any. I just have stretch marks from getting fat.
Or from having kids?
Well, I've got fat before I had kids,
Well,
so
stop it.
um, no, I have scar tissue buildup. Does that count?
Yeah,
When I
what's a
fell off the porch.
yeah, that counts.
Yeah,
What's a scar?
I just did something stupid. I
What
climbed a step ladder on the porch and fell off the fucking ladder off the porch and got hurt
where did
and
you
landed in the bushes.
you landed? Where did you hurt?
My leg.
Where's the scar at? Or scar
It's like there's like a knot. If you push on it, you could feel it
like on your
on my
buttocks?
leg.
Oh, on the back.
Yeah, and the doctor was very polite and basically told me in so many words if I was skinnier, I would break my leg.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
so
Fuck him.
thank God for padding.
Yeah, well, padding's good. I have some of it. How about the strangest place you had sex was at the Pepper's parking lot?
No, it was on a weight bench.
Weight bench.
Yeah,
Was this with Joey as well?
yeah.
All right. Well, because Joey said the Pepper's parking lot.
I would say weight bench
All
because
right.
I mean they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah, pretty scary. What is the most important thing to you?
My family.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as everybody's happy and healthy, we could deal with everything else. You know.
What's the most unreasonable thing about you?
Oh, I'm so stubborn.
Really?
Oh God, yeah.
Really?
I dig my heels in.
About what? If it's about,
I don't like being told what to do. To be like, you wouldn't think it about me, but I don't like authority. Like, I will be respectful, but there's things where I'm like, that's the hill I'm gonna die on, and that's that. And that's where Joey and he's like, bring it down a notch.
really?
Yeah,
He
I'm
seems
very stubborn
he seems that way too, though. A little
in
bit.
his own way.
Yeah.
I think I'm more stubborn out of the two of us for sure.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. I wouldn't think that, but I don't live with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're always nicer when we don't live with each other.
yeah, that's true.
Just kidding. What's an everyday struggle?
I thrust and I grind, and it's not as sexy as it sounds.
What do you mean?
I have like I push my teeth with the back of my tongue, and
Oh,
that's because I have anxiety,
yeah, yeah.
and I hate that word.
Just the anxiousness.
So being anxious all the time, like having the conscience, like whatever that word is,
Yeah, and I know you're working on it. Has that been a problem like your whole life?
I'm finding out that it has.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't realize it until
recently.
therapy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that it has manifested itself in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you don't remember all the little things when you were a kid, and
yeah,
then you start talking about them. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that I remember that, like, or remember that I forgot that, or whatever.
yeah. Or did you avoid things because of the anxiety? Was that a thing that you did? I
I
think that's what
I,
I
th-
did.
I think I probably did when I was younger, and then a lot of it was also, I think, like environmental, because my mom's like, "Don't do that, you're going to get hurt."
Yeah, yeah. Just
But I mean, I also climbed poles when I was a kid, like, and I would just sit on the corner and climb the pole and watch people walk by. So I don't know. I don't know. Part of me, it doesn't fit my personality, which is weird to me.
yeah. So
You know?
but I'm the same way, right? Like I'm a risk taker in some ways, like
Mm-hmm.
dumb risks. Like I'll go jump out of a plane tomorrow. But if there's a fear of if there's a chance of rejection, I would never do it. I would never do it. I only did things that I thought I was going to be good at. That's it. That's all I did.
And it's not a fear of rejection from other people, because I got over that
Yeah,
quite a long time ago.
yeah.
Like, um,
Or fear of failure.
it's I think it's myself.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Letting yourself down.
Yeah, and is it going to hurt me? Am I going to? And I have this thing with like, is it going to be detrimental to my health in some way, or am I going to break an arm or a limb? And what if
Yeah.
I do? And I have to keep telling myself, well, if that happens, it's still not the end of the world.
Right. How about your best quality?
I'd say I'm pretty nice until I'm a bitch.
I
But
love
yeah, I try and be nice to people. I guess that's my best quality. And my eyes.
what's
It's
that dumbest mistake?
probably something physical. I'm sure I've done other things, but I can't really think of any. But
Yeah.
um, so I'm vertically challenged, And you remember in the city, like, people would hop poles, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm gonna learn how to do that because that's, life goals."
Yeah.
So I finally did it, and I only did it a couple times because I banged my knee into the pole
Oh,
and screwed my knee up. To this day, it's still,
really?
yeah, it's like an old war wound.
Yeah, that was actually very important to me too, being able to hop the pole.
Some of them were taller than others,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
couldn't have on, like, baggy pants because then you'd get caught.
yeah.
But yeah, I did that and messed my knee up, and they called an ambulance, and I'm like, "Don't call an ambulance," because I tried to walk, and I was like, "Look," and then I was like, "Oh, shit, I can't walk." So that was, yeah, and then this was all in an effort to get to 7-Eleven to get a pretzel with cheese,
Yeah,
and ironically, the emergency room is right across the street from
sure.
7-Eleven,
Right.
and my dad came in. Well, first of all, they called an ambulance, and the cops came, and this really cute cop with these bright green eyes came, and I was like, "Great. I'm that idiot who this cop's like, look at this stupid kid," and he was really cute. So my dad came to the emergency room. I'm sitting there in the wheelchair, and he's like, "What'd you do?" And I was like, "I kicked my leg into a pole." And he was like, "What? What did you do?" And he's like, "You idiot." And he left. He left me there. And my mom came. I was like, "He really left me?" Yeah, he left me in the emergency room.
Uh, what's your best mistake?
Probably staying at the preschool longer than I planned. I mean, I was like, "I'm only gonna do this for a year."
Yeah,
And 12 years later, um, but it turned out to work because the kids got a good education
right.
for early childhood, and they were free, which was nice.
Nice. Yeah.
So that worked in my favor in the end.
How about a type of music that you hate? Another one of your questions.
I'm pretty eclectic. I like a lot of different stuff. Like my playlist is out there, but I I'm with you on the honky tonk. Like if
Yeah.
you're singing about your tractor and your jeans, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And I would agree with the new rap. I
Yeah, I can't do it.
can't do it.
There's nothing. I don't. It doesn't. It doesn't have a beat you can dance to, and it
No,
doesn't have words you can relate to. So I don't know why we
mm-mm.
like it. I don't know.
I don't get it. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I'm sure that's part of it. What is the quality that most annoys you about others?
People's lack of thoughtfulness, and respect and manners. Like, as kids, we were always taught, please, thank you, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah,
And a lot of times it's old people. I'm in the supermarket and they want to use the force to get me to move out of their way. And I'm like, I am not telepathic. Like, you want me to move, you need to say, excuse me.
yeah.
I'm going to get in a fight with an old person in the grocery store. I know it. They're going to hit me
Uh,
because I'm like, they just stand there and stare at you until you move. And I'm like, if you said, excuse me, I'd move a lot faster. They're going to deck me. Somebody's hitting me.
if
But
you,
stupid shit like that.
yeah, no, I hate the lack of people respecting your space and that you exist.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I exist. Just act like you know I exist.
Right. Because if my kid didn't say excuse me to you when they wanted to get around, you'd probably turn your nose up at them and say something snarky in response to them not having respect. But when in turn,
Right.
just because you're older than me doesn't mean you don't respect me.
Yeah.
It should go always.
If you were arrested, what would your friends and family think happened?
I was probably doing something stupid.
Like what?
Like, so I used to walk around the grocery store with a cardboard cutout of Chris Evans and take pictures. So probably something stupid like that. And it was the adventures of Cardboard Chris. And then COVID happened and ruined it because that was my goal in life is to meet Chris Evans. And I was going to get on Ellen from doing Cardboard Chris. And so probably some stupid shit like that.
Like trespassing or something?
Yeah. Like
Disorderly conduct?
I want an inflatable unicorn costume to just like roam around the town in. So I'd probably get,
Uh,
something dumb.
if you could be a man for a day, what would you do during that day?
Oh, I'd want to know what the fascination is with scratching your balls. Like, why? What is so good about that?
There's nothing good about it. They just itch.
That's what Joey said.
Yeah.
And I would do the weenie wiggle. Like, I would totally do the weenie wiggle and hose the bathroom down like Jackson Pollock. Like, it's going everywhere.
Uh, uh, just you have to. I think you have to like drink something with like dye in it
Oh, yeah,
to make your
for
feet
sure.
look like green or red or
Like
something.
that medicine they give you when you have urinary tract infection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that shit. Oh,
Oh,
that would be fun.
I have a quick story. about that real quick. Laura was taking the urinary tract
Mhm.
medicine, and I thought it was what's the name? The fuck Sudafed. I thought it was Sudafed. So I took two of them. I took two because I took my allergies, and I went to work. And I fucking pissed red.
Did your allergies clear up?
No, I pissed red. I called
You
Laura.
think you were dying?
No, I was smart enough to at least. I'm like, Laura, those pills that were on your desk were they Sudafed? And she just started
That's funny.
laughing. Oh God. Two more things. Most fun but dangerous quality. That's your question too.
Oh, I'll talk to anybody. That's bad
Yeah,
because I think I'm being nice.
yeah,
I was in Gettysburg last year and we walked into this bar and there's these two locals and I didn't realize that the locals in Gettysburg are like very rough
yeah,
looking people. I mean, it's all farmland.
yeah,
And this guy looked at me and I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And he looked like me, like he wanted to eat me and
yeah,
like not in the good way.
yeah,
Like he wanted to cut me up in pieces and eat me. And that scared the life out of me. I was
yeah.
like, okay, maybe not talk to everybody. Like pick and choose.
Yeah, yep. You have a kind face.
Hmm. Apparently the kind he likes to shove in the back of his trunk.
All right, last two questions. When you make it to heaven, assuming heaven exists, what do you want God to say to you?
The library is here and the pizza just came out of the oven.
How about what do you want to be remembered for?
I'd like to remember for making people laugh. I have had to learn to laugh at myself because I'm a clumsy person.
Yeah,
And then it just being silly and comes natural to me. I'm not funny, like, I'm not quick with wit and stuff, I'm just goofy,
yeah,
and people seem to laugh.
yeah,
So, I guess, you know, stuff like that, being goofy and owning my own little brand of weird.
yeah. You got anything else for me?
I don't think so. Did you know your dad yelled at us one night when we had slip and slide at your house on Each Street?
You had slip and slide it. No, I didn't. Tell me about that.
We had a sleepover, and our thing was to watch Sister Act and make a big pot of beef ramen noodles.
Yeah. How old were you?
Oh, maybe like 12.
Oh, young. Okay.
And one night we decided to bake cookies, except we didn't have a recipe. So we
Yeah.
just kind of made it up and that didn't work because it was all butter. So then we decided to have a fight with the cookie dough and we kind of threw it all over the place and it was everywhere. And so then we had to clean it and we
Yeah.
couldn't find a mop and we were wiping the walls and everybody smoked back then. So
Yeah.
the walls, like you
Yeah.
could see like the nicotine marks.
Yeah.
So we couldn't clean the floor because we couldn't find a mop. So Teresa's like, all right, let's just squirt the soap on the floor. And then we just got water from glasses and just kind of threw it. And it was just, oh, it was a mess. We were so slimy. And then your sister goes, wait, I want to try it first. She run because 8th Street was long.
Yeah. Yeah.
She runs to the front window, runs back, and just boom right into the cabinet. Slid. We were disgustingly slimy. Like we both had to get showers, and then your dad came down the next day and he's like, "What'd you guys do last night?" And we were like, "Nothing. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Why are the walls clean?" And we were like, "Oh, we didn't know."
Yeah.
And why are the glasses fogged up? Because we didn't dry anything. We just everything was like foggy from being wet, and we got caught. And we were like, "Okay, this is what we
So,
did."
but
But
he was upstairs the whole time though.
they were sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was asleep.
It's
I don't
amazing.
know where you were,
I was probably at my grandmother's house, probably.
killing
Yeah.
her dog.
Yeah, but that might have been. Well, you guys were on 8th Street, so it had to be before before I
Yeah,
killed the dog. Fuck you. All right. Well, thank you for doing this. You know I love you.
I love you too.
You always been my little sister. I always love you. And until next time. Peace.
Peace.